Hello there and welcome to today's tutorial with Lovecraft. And today we're going to be learning the basics of macrame. We're just going to be learning some simple knots, and these simple knots will allow you to make some really pretty beginner projects. Once you've mastered these simple knots, you'll be able to create some really simple key rings like these. And I will be doing a tutorial with them so you can follow along. Getting started with macrame is really so easy with little needed to get up and running, because all you mostly need is rope or some type of thick cord, which is very easily found in most craft stores or even hardware stores. It's also very accessible online too. Rope comes in different widths, so thicknesses. Something like this is quite thin, around 2 to 3 millimeters. And these ropes are actually the same width, but they are made up differently. As you can see, this one has got a few strands twisted together, and this one here is just one strand of the same thickness, and we call these strands the ply of the rope. You can also get rope that is really thick like this. This is about 20 millimeters thickness. And when untwisted, you can notice that it's made up of many twisted strands of rope. The beauty of this rope is that when it's unraveled, it can give us beautiful frayed ends, perhaps for wall hangings, for example. Now, scissors definitely make part of the essential toolkit. They need to be sharp to cut the rope. And not essential, but they do make an interesting add-on to your project, are wooden items such as wooden rings and beads. This ring would be used, for example, if you're going to make a plant hanger. As I said earlier, you don't need to limit yourself to rope. Here is some t-shirt yarn from the Paint Box range that I've used many times to make macrame pieces too, mostly plant hangers and some coasters. Remember, it's a cord that you need, so something thick and cotton-based rather than something that's wool-based. Rope comes in many different colours too as well these days, so you're not limited to a cream palette either. Sometimes people use a clamp to secure their pieces to a table or a high-level edge. I don't use this often, but I will demonstrate how you use one of these later on. Next up, I'll be showing you how to make some of the essential knots needed for almost all macrame projects. The first knot I'm going to be showing you how to do is the Lark's head knot. It's the most basic knot and the most important knot, as it secures the rope lengths to its foundation. I want to show you what it looks like on this large wall hanging. In this case, I attached my Lark's head knots to the rope. But other times you may need to attach it to a dowel or a piece of driftwood, for example, if you're making a wall hanging. So here it is close up. For today, I'm going to attach the rope to another piece of foundation rope and secure it to my table with some masking tape. Take your rope and fold it in half. Feed under the rope and take your working rope and feed it through the loop and then pull it tight. So we'll do another and repeat that again. So grab your rope, match the ends up to halve it, slide it under the foundation rope and feed through the loop and pull it tight. And really you would just keep going until all your rope is secured onto your foundation rope. My top tip, if the end of your rope is frayed like this, it will only continue to fray even more and waste your working rope. To prevent this from happening, just place a masking tape at the point it's starting to fray and carry on working. Of course, there are times when you want the frayed effect, and this is fine. Just know that the fray will move up with the rope the more you use it. So at some stage, you'll want to put a pause on that, and masking tape is your friend. Next up, we're going to learn how to do the square knot. The square knot is used extensively and is a really popular and common macrame knot. I like it because it sits nice and flat, so it's perfect for plant hangers, or in this case, a dog lead that I'm currently working on. So it's quite long and the cords are extremely long to work with as well. And I need to hang this over a door to be able to work on it. But I really like the look of the square knots under each other, and I think it's quite decorative. So to get practicing the square knots, you will need to use the rope that we attached to our foundation cord earlier on. With square knots, we always work in pairs. So that would be a pair and this would be another pair. Additionally, you also always work with 2 outer cords and 2 filling or middle cords. So really what happens is that the 2 outer cords knot over the middle filling cords. So actually we never knot with the middle cords, only the outer cords. It sounds a little bit complicated, but really it's not once you get going. So to begin, take the left hand cord and we're going to make the letter L over the 2 middle cords. Then you're going to take the right hand cord and you're going to put it over the left hand cord. So now it looks like the number 4. And then under the 2 middle cords and feed it up through that gap on the left hand cord. So you can see that you have one cord over the top and another one under the middle cord. If you pull the ends away from each other, that will then form the first part of the square knot. So really that is almost all there is to it. This was essentially part 1, and now we're going to do part 2, which is just the reverse of what we've done, and that will make the square knot complete. So still working with the outer cords, this time you're going to start with the right cord and put this cord over the 2 middle cords. So now it's like the reverse letter L. Then take the left cord and place it over the right hand cord and under the middle cords, and then feed it through the gap on the right hand side. Pull the ends apart, and that is your square knot now completed. Next up, I'll be doing 3 square knots that you can follow along and practice with me. So welcome back. We are now going to do our first macrame project together using Lark's head and square knots. We'll be using these knots to make some colourful modern key rings, and I'll also be showing you one more knot called a gathering knot, which we will use in our plant hanger, which is the second project. Before we start, I just need you to cut 2 lengths of rope measuring 80 centimetres each and attach it to the key ring with 2 Lark head knots. You'll also need a wooden bead, but it's not a problem if you don't have one. Now I'm going to show you how to attach the clamp to your work surface. Open up the clamp and put your keyring through and secure it to the edge of the table. Now you can see it's quite secure and a lot easier to work with than if perhaps it was attached down with masking tape. So follow along, and I want you to do 1 full square knot. Then you take your bead and your 2 middle cords and you thread it through and push it all the way to the top. And then just continue knotting with square knots until you have made 3 square knots. Now we're going to finish off with a gathering knot. I'm using embroidery floss and I've cut about 1 meter of embroidery floss. Take the end and hold it down with your thumb and fingers. Wrap it back up to your thumb and then just simply wrap it around your rope until you get close to that small loop. Feed the end through the loop and pull it through and cut. Now you can either leave it as it is or you can fray your edges by unraveling it. Next, I'll be showing you how you can already make the spiral knot keyring without learning a new knot. I just need you to cut 2 lengths of 80 centimeters and attach with the Lark's head knot and attach it to your clamp ready to start knotting. Immediately feed the bead first, and then all you need to do to make the spiral knot is a continuous repeat of the first part of the square knot. So by that I mean we're just starting with the left side of the rope only and always. We never start with the right side, as this will just flatten it and make it into a square knot. So you'll always start with the left side of the cord going over the 2 middles, and just continue this way until your keyring is long enough. I then use my rope to make a gathering knot at the bottom, and then I braid the end once again. And there you have it. Play around with the knots and bead placement and add embroidery floss or even different colour yarns. There's a multitude of variations that you can make to gift these keyrings to your friends and family. Well, thanks so much for hanging out with me and crafting. I hope that you got a lot out of this tutorial, and more importantly, I hope that you feel confident to mix and match your knots that you've just learned. But this is just for starters. With these basic knots in your arsenal, you'll go far in your macrame journey. As always, just remember to have fun and really enjoy the process. Happy knotting, and I hope to see you again. Bye-bye.